a sister ship.
Sister ship, we got this now. Come on, let's talk about it.
Let's talk about
Sister ship, we got this now. Come on, let's talk about it.
Let's talk about this, talk about that, talk about faith, talk about facts. Let's talk about living, talk about giving, talk about family, talk about healing.
We're my sisters, we got this sisters. You roll with me and I'll roll with you. We're my sisters, we got this sisters. You roll with me and I'll roll with you.
Substance.
Sister, we got this now. Come on, let's talk about it. Hello, everybody. This is your girl, Stephania. And today, we got an amazing topic for people. A sad generation, fully happy pictures. Are we fronting our way through life? Before we begin, I have to introduce, for the first time in 2022, It's All About You, our amazing queenagers. Can't go anywhere without their wisdom, their knowledge, their healthiness, and everything that we deal with in life. Their wisdom is just one to just revel and just. I love being in their presence. They do nothing but give us that wisdom that we need in our lives as we continue to progress through our lives. Because we still young, we still got a lot to learn. And the queenagers are here to help us through that. So with that said, without further ado, I'm going to introduce Mama C, the oracle, the queenager, the founder of the Sistership Network. Welcome to the first 2022 show for you. It's all about you, Mama C. How are you today?
I'm good. At a time, and you know what? Life interesting. However. And so, like I said to you guys, I choose to life and have fun with it. Once upon a time, that wasn't the case, but I age in wisdom, we realize that we have options or choices that really define who we are and how we feel about ourselves and life. So, hey.
I hear that. Yeah. Mama C and our wonderful, and we got to take a look at Miss Spicy here, because she's all full of spice and everything nice. I'm just saying, Jane, our lovely queenager, Jane Spicy, how are you this new year? This
Yes.
2022?
I am so happy to be on the show again. I mean, I had a rough few weeks, few months, but I'm back. But I wanted to also piggyback on what Mama C was saying. I think as you get older, and I mean, maybe a lot of people aren't going to like this, you do make choices. And when you're younger, you don't feel that you have choices. You kind of go do what you think other people want you to do. But as you get older, you just don't give a damn anymore about what other people think. It's about your happiness.
Absolutely.
As you get older, you learn that concept of life.
Yeah, and you're right, Jane. I think a lot of people don't learn that. That's why you run with older people who are grumpy, mean-spirited, and just never learn that they have the ability and the power to change their lives and how they feel, and they just begin to fossilize and acquiesce into the process of growing old as opposed to aging with grace and style.
I'm telling you, I have more fun at this age than I've ever had in my life. I'm not kidding you.
Me too. I mean, now COVID has kind of put a ability to be as mobile and as out there as we'd like.
Right.
At this point, there are a lot. I love people. I love meeting new people. I love learning and doing new things. And right now we're kind of stationary because we have to be as cautious as possible.
Right.
The younger the children, the citizens of the world are most affected by the COVID. We have to protect ourselves. It's not up to anybody else to do that.
Right.
It's up. Look, life is challenging, and right now, challenged insurmountably. But we have to make choices that what's going on right now, not what we would be happening,
Right.
not
Right.
but what is actually going on. We have to make whatever adjustments are in order to live the quality of life that we desire, or as close.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you think of, I look back to the early 1900s, right, when pictures were taken. And I remember seeing my great-grandmother, my grandmother, and stone face pictures. That's what it was about. It wasn't about this whole smiling and being happy for a picture or things of that nature, right? So, at that point in time, it was just snapshotting the reality of smiling wasn't even a concept for pictures back then. Um,
Right.
as we evolve through life and through, obviously technology and things of that nature, and now we're in the place of social media. You see, we talk about a sad generation full of happy pictures, but it's not just about social media. We do see, though, we are sitting in our COVID environment, very, sitting looking through our social media networks, and we see a lot of pictures of people smiling and just, but we don't necessarily know, are we showing happy pictures because we're happy, or is it a front that we are showing on our social media platforms? Because we do know, I mean, some of us know that sometimes those pictures aren't even real. Some people's pictures aren't even what they look like. But let alone the fact that now, we have a lot of happy pictures, out there. What are your thoughts about that? I mean, is it really about a sad generation full of happy pictures, or is it something different? Like, what are your thoughts when you see those pictures out there?
Well, it's hard to tell from social media.
Right.
But I was doing a little research, found that there's something called smiling depression, where a lot of people are smiling in order to hide their true feelings, what's really going on. They are going through a lot of challenges. They're going uncertain times, and they're not quite sure how to navigate the process of getting through it all. And one of the things I have said is that there are a lot of, especially the generation after, and where people don't quite have skills. Why? Because a lot of them have never had to go through anything. Their parents have thing.
Right. Yeah.
Jane and I, we've gone through a lot to get where we are at this point in our lives. I mean, a lot. And people say, wow, how did you get through all of that and come out of it sane? Well, humanity is kind of like a flip. And sometimes you aren't, it depends on what's going on in your life. Ain't no shame in my game. There are moments when I'm a nutcase, but out of sorts. I have the skills that are for pulling myself back and out of whatever negative energy or happening, so that I can regroup, revamp, and in ways that are conducive to my well-being. And well-being, people don't get that. So many people are trying to be something that they're trying to hold on to what of sanity that they have, not doing well, trying to have the level of coping skills that are essential. And let me tell you, this life and the way that we need to, coping skills are essential.
Yeah, there's definitely a need. I know Mama C is checking the vid. I think your voice was going in and out, but
Hey, there's something happening here. You
yeah,
know, I think I was half cut off.
yeah, you're good
Yeah.
now. You're good
Yeah.
now.
But I think I got it now.
Yep,
You know,
we're good.
but let me just tell you, with depression, you know, you ask yourself why. You know, there's some people who just straight up depressed, look sad, so you know something's going on. But it's very difficult with someone who's always smiling. You know what I'm saying? If you are a person, a seasoned person who has achieved spiritual growth and development, you see through the mask that people wear, or to hide their pain, to hide emotions. And you know, depression, you know, a lot of times people don't want to burden other people.
Right.
Yeah.
What's going on in order to keep from burdening their friends or whatever. They decide they're going to take it on themselves, the skills that are essential for dealing with it. And some are being depressed. You know, I mean, a lot of people are embarrassed about, view it as a form of weakness.
Right.
You know,
Right.
and so can hide because they don't want anybody to know they're depressed. And that's not a good hiding when you're depressed is not a good coping skill, because what happens, it's like almost like the hand of death reaches up and deeper and deeper down into the bowels of the darkness, tends to kind of hold you captive. So it's important that we have good coping and be determined. Like I said on many occasions at 19, I said to myself, to master this thing called, I'm going to live my very best. I'm going to do whatever it is to be happy, not to allow anybody to destroy me or my happiness or my life. And I didn't know what that was or how it was, but understand that we're like scientists on it. We are here to explore, experience, and expand before we exit. To seek out what you need to improve the quality of your life. Ask yourself, whose job is it and how is it going to happen if you don't do it for yourself?
Right. Right.
And it's important to have a support system, I feel, you know, when I think about it, and you know, even stuff that I do on social media, like posting, you know, memes of things that people could be going through, or even that I could be going through, or some of the TikTok videos that, you know, obviously people laugh at. But, you know, it's all in good fun, because even through the depressions and the state of mind of sadness, or things are good, people are going through things, you want to, some of us feel a sense of need to help people to get through, even if it's a slight moment in their lives, to be happy for a moment or laugh for a moment. Because the best medicine, although it's not a long-term solution to a problem, that moment of just laughing and just the endorphins and everything that just kind of builds inside of you when you're smiling and laughing from truly from your gut, from your inside out, and not just from the face, right? Because we can smile from the face, but if we're not smiling inside of ourselves, we're not laughing that true belly gut laugh, it really doesn't matter what the face is showing. It's what's inside. Jane, I
Yes.
love, you know, I love your insights as well. I mean, I think you yourself, I mean, and you have a family full of, you know, people who are on social media as well. And what are your thoughts as far as the generation today, and on, you know, are we truly happy are there things that we're, just a facade that we're giving people?
I think that happiness, it has to come from within yourself. Okay. And I think that we always have a choice to be happy or not. And I do a lot of praying during the day, mornings, evenings, and I've learned, and I think Deb and I have even had this conversation, that I no longer ask God for, peace and this. I just thank him for everything that we are given. And we make conscious choices to be happy or sad. And I truly believe that. I think social media is a great, great platform for me, my generation, your generation, the younger generation, to communicate as one. Back in the day, when we would on Sunday afternoon go to my grandma's or my nonna's for dinner, the kids sat at one table, right? And the grown-ups sat at another table. When dinner was over, the kids went to the other room. What I'm saying is there was no interaction. Social media gives us that opportunity to be social with all age groups. And
Right.
I do believe social media, look, there could be a lot of bad things taken from social media. Also feel there could be a lot of good things. And I've seen a lot of good things. I've seen my own family, rally on social media and really be helpful and giving and caring. So yeah, I think social media can be the best platform to intertwine with all generations. But I also think there are people who smile in pain. I truly do believe that. In the work I do, I see it a lot. And like I've always been a happy person. God love my mother. She, as you know the story, but anyway, she would say to me, "Why do you smile all the time? It's so annoying." It was annoying to her because she wanted me to be like her, always negative, always sad, always something was wrong with her, something hurt her, something or someone hurt her or whatever. I refuse to be that. I want to be responsible for my happiness. And I feel when you do that, people look at you and maybe just for a moment in their time, they will be happy too.
Absolutely. I so agree with you, Jane. I went through tough times as a child, always smiled, somehow the tank within me
Yeah.
was always filled one way or, and so I never found myself. That just wasn't who I was created to be. That didn't feel to me. And so no matter what's going on, and a lot of people over the last couple of years, I've had a real difficult time health-wise. I've been in so much pain that there were days. I mean, I was telling someone recently, I said, what I have to go through for the rest of my life, take me now. I'm like,
Yep.
horrible. The pain was excruciating. But you know what? No matter what goes on in our life, I began to find solutions because I never stopped searching.
Right. And that's the key. Yep. That is to keep an open mind and heart. Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
I got the back. I had the radio frequency in December. Got rid of the sciatic pain that was making my life excruciating. I can't even explain the pain. You have to understand it. And then the arthritis, between the back pain, the knee pain. I was a wreck. I mean, but you know what? Why? Because there was that joy within me.
Yes.
A sense of happiness. And like you said, Jay, I would wake up and allow me to find solutions that were conducive to my woman who just turned 68. So, the bottom line that age is not the issue, it's the mindset.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, I resolved the sciatic pain. And article written by Dr. Oz and my daughter, we're on something called keto flu. So I said to her, I said, well, how do I avoid this? She said, and I had just finished reading an article by Dr. Oz that said that women are devoid of electrolytes. We need to replenish our electrolytes.
Mm-hmm.
My daughter got some Propel electrolyte water. Drink it every day now. The excruciating pain I've been going through is absolutely gone. I don't know if it's the Propel. I really believe it. Something that maybe was absent in my body, that my body, I got my Propel water right here. I drink a bottle of Propel 2 per day.
Yeah.
I feel fabulous, May, the knee replaced right knee. So, you know what? I smile. I am genuine. And I know that there are solutions, and I don't feel hopeless. And I think that that's what happens to a lot of people. They're feeling helpless. And when it comes to living quality of life that they want to live, yes, I'd like to traveling before I exit. But that's somewhere down the path. It's coming, I believe.
Yeah.
But we have to wake up in the morning being thankful. Thankful for what they have, because you know what? And I said to my granddaughter, she and I were talking on. You got to be thankful for what you have, because you know what? A lot of people don't have.
Exactly.
Home. It's cold. We have food. You have clothes on your back. You have a job. I said you have to all positive with respect to quality of your life, because it's very easy to start smiling and start hiding the pain. And that's not living, that's existing. And so recognize and accept what's going on in their lives, and stop denying that you're depressed, because there is help for it. I've gone through I went through one of the worst depressions of my life, about 15, almost 20 years. But I did something about it. I refused to allow depression to pull me down to the darkest depths of life or existence. And so, you got this granddaughter. I said to her, she's living out, she's on her own now. And I said to her, you have to be determined that no matter what comes at you, you're going to prevail and rise above it.
Right.
So you got to keep all the time, so that the smile you wear is actually authentic.
Yeah, that's a good point. And you said a couple things. There were 2 things that stood out to me. Responsible for your own happiness,
right?
Because only we are responsible for that. And I think sometimes we look for happiness in others, and I think that's a huge misconception out there, that we can find happiness in others. And I want you, Mama C and Spicy, again, with your wisdom, I think people need to understand that happiness has to come from you. And no matter who you're involved with, your friendships, your associates, your family, or whoever, they cannot bring you true happiness. Right. So because once those individuals are not in your circle, what are you left with? Right now, are you back to your depression? Are you back? So kind of help us weave through your thoughts around this whole revelation of being happy with yourself and being responsible for your happiness. And I love the fact that you said hope, because that was in my head, is that we sometimes feel hopeless, right? That there's nothing to look forward to, and we've lost hope. And that right there will lead us into a state of depression.
Right.
We have Martin Luther King Jr.'s. His birthday actually was the 15th, but Monday is they're honoring him, and he was about hope and the future, right?
Absolutely.
So hope and gratitude. I think those are huge components to starting your day with being happy with you, right? Kind of
Right.
speak to that, because I think that's just an amazing segue into just how are you responsible for your own happiness? How can you get there?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think as you go through your life, you learn to count your blessings and not your downfalls. I grew up poor, and it's interesting. This week I was talking to a good friend of mine, and we were talking about fasting and sacrificing, and how religions sometimes have so many hours or days that you give up certain things. And she said, I just don't understand what that's supposed to do for me as a person. And I said, well, let me try to relate something to you. When I was growing up, we were poor. Sometimes there wasn't even enough food or heat in the house. So I could tell you in this 3 below 0 weather this morning, when I turned my heat up, I was grateful that I was able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
When I went to on New Year's Day, when I went to help serve the homeless at the Wesleyan Church, I sat with these groups of wonderful people. And yeah, they're homeless, but you know what? They weren't always homeless. They were children one time. They were teenagers at one time. Did they fall on bad times? Yes, but some of them are still very hopeful. And you look at that and you go, my God, what am I complaining about? They still want to lift themselves up and make a life for themselves. They're hopeful about that. So yes, hoping that, hopefulness in this world is something we don't think enough of. We don't think enough of it. And
Absolutely. Great.
being grateful for what we have. My mom used to say, when you have a little, you give a little. So you're fortunate enough to have at least a little, you should share that, because there's
Right.
someone else who doesn't have that little. And I
Absolutely.
think that is so good for your heart to give to someone else, even if they're not less fortunate than you. But share a hug, share a smile, share a cup of coffee with them. Listen, everybody has stuff. Everybody. It
Absolutely.
doesn't matter if you have a 0 checking account or you have, 19 figures in your checking account. Everybody has stuff. Everybody.
Hey, I agree with you, Jane. Last month I was $153 overdrawn. I'm
Yeah, I
balancing
hear
out.
you.
It's balancing out. But
Yeah.
you know what? I over it. It was what it was, and I
Yep.
was doing the best that I could do.
Yep.
At that,
Yeah.
there were needs in the household, and my daughter and I do everything we can, and that's key. Keep things as balanced as we can.
Yes.
Get so out of kilter,
Yeah.
And basic, right?
Yeah,
Basics.
yeah.
Basics. Yep.
The basics. We don't do anything extra because at the moment there are no to do the extras. And you know what? Ain't no again shame in my game.
But yeah,
Here's what
we're in the middle of a pandemic,
what?
for God's sake.
We-
So
exactly.
we even do any extra.
Exactly. Nothing else you can do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
We had to learn the hard way through this pandemic on how to truly be happy when we weren't doing the things that we normally did every single day, right? Being around people and find a
Absolutely.
way to kind of work through those.
Yeah.
And it's giving of yourself in a way that people feel that has to be something monetary or
Mhm. Yep.
physical, or I mean, it sometimes it's a kind word.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sometimes it's just some insights on some things that people are struggling through.
Yeah.
Sharing a thought, sharing an idea, sharing a
Bake a cake. Listen,
cake.
bake a simple, how much is cake mix at the Walmart? $1.
like $1.
Yeah. Bake a cake for your neighbor. Bring it over there. You are not going to believe the look on their face when you do that.
Mhm.
When you are selfless in those kinds of ways, people truly they feel, if they feel forgotten, they know they're not forgotten anymore.
Mm.
You know, people do feel
Jane,
forgotten.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And let me just say, all earth angels, all of us. So
Yes.
we need to
Yes.
just take
Yep.
a moment, You know, so many people are so busy looking at people and faults and, you know, being angry with themselves and everybody
Yeah.
else.
I should have
Realize
done
not the
that.
way they want to. Yeah. So, I mean, craziness from your life. That's crazy. It causes the mind to, okay? And there's nothing worse than a malfunctioning brain, okay?
Mm.
Yeah.
Brain in alignment with your God and your true power. Because what's going on in our lives, we feel a sense of joy, and that joy just illuminates from the core of our soul into the world around us. And so,
Right.
you know, I'm okay if I don't have money and things. I can get in my car and take a little drive to the
Yes.
mall. And
Right.
Yeah.
two of my the four of us went out, have a lot of money to spend. You know, we couldn't do exactly what but we did something that was, you know, filling for all of
Right.
family, and we landed and we did what we
You
did.
made a memory. You
We made
made
a, you know what,
memories.
and this is
Yes.
what, Jane, this was like my grandchildren. I don't need things. I have more things. I got things that, like, the heck,
Yeah.
I got more things than I know what to do with.
Lord
I
knows.
want to my life making happy memories with the
Yeah.
people I love and the people. And let me tell you, that's an important factor. Know who loves you and who doesn't. Okay.
Right.
Yes. Yes.
Who will use and abuse you,
Mm-hmm.
serving purposes, and
Right.
you're not getting anything out of it. You're not feeling love. They're not caring for you. They're not being understanding of you. And let me tell you, that's the one thing I love about the system. You know what? We all have a level of love that is phenomenal, that
Yes.
we can reach out to each other
Yep.
at any time and talk. Well, let me tell you something. Jane made some bread. Slap your mama. And she had made some bread.
Yes, she did.
You're on keto, bread is a no-no. Let me tell you, that bread, and as simple as she does and shares, and even no matter what she has, she and Stefania jumped in and started doing the programming, which took a lot off of. Let me tell you, I just it's kind of sistership that we all share, and except for one other person, Sarah. When Sarah and I were doing quite some time ago, Sarah and I had the same kind of bond. You know, she's doing other things now, whatever. But let me tell you, you know who is for real in your life, who isn't.
That's right.
And, you know, stop making excuses. Most people are miserable because they keep making excuses for people.
Mhm.
Oh, well, they got this problem. Well, hell, I got problems too.
Right.
But I'm
Yeah.
not going to make other people miserable because I got challenges in my life that I'm dealing with.
Sure.
And
Sure.
God knows over the last 2 years, I've been in so much pain that I could have been the nastiest heifer on the planet because Nobody understands chronic pain until you have had to deal with it. Trust me. But I refuse to allow that pain to transform me into somebody I'm not.
Exactly.
So we've got to be real about who we are and not allow the circumstances of our lives to screw our lives up.
Right.
Let me tell you,
Right.
I love life. I love the
Yep,
people in
me
my
too.
life, and anything I can do. And sometimes I say, God, can you let me please win the lottery? Because there are people in my life I'd like to do things for. Right now, I don't have the extra fun, but they know I love them nonetheless,
Yeah.
and they love me,
Yep.
and we just keep it moving. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Exactly.
So it's not so much what you can give to people, but the love you share.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think the sharing
Yep.
of love and
Yep.
being compassionate and kind. And you know what? I move myself away from anybody who I get bad vibes from.
That's
Ooh,
exactly.
Lord,
They
yes.
are your vibes. You can have them. I will not
Yep.
partake in them. I will not allow you to throw off that negative energy on me, because I keep
Yep.
telling people negative energy is, what is it? There's a word I'm using, that negative energy is infectious. You know,
Yeah.
it's like an infection.
Yeah.
You
Yep.
know, once you are around negative energy X amount of time,
Yeah.
you become affected by that. And then it also impacts on how you think and the choices you make in life.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're not feeling, stop making excuses for people. You know,
Right.
stop making
Yeah.
excuses for people. If they are not being nice to you, if you don't feel like you are a part of and that you are loved, get the hell away from people. Stop with
Yes.
the
Yep.
nonsense of trying to
Yep.
make excuses for them. Okay, you want to make excuses, then you go ahead and continue to allow them to use and abuse you, and then you'll have more reason to smile and be miserable.
Yep. You know what I call
Science.
people like that? I call them energy vampires.
Oh,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yes.
And
Absolutely.
I've said this to all of you a million times. As I go on in my life, I only want to be around people who want to be around me, who are going to like me and love me for exactly who I am. Do I have faults? Well, not too many, but some. And but
I don't know any,
when
Jane.
you love someone, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what their downfalls are. You
Right.
love
You
them
just love that
anyway.
person anyway.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
and I tell people our natural nature is love.
Yeah.
And the farther we are from our natural nature, the more miserable our life becomes, the more difficult our life becomes, the more sad our lives become, and the more reason we have to fake it until we make it. But you can't fake life. You've got to face it, and you've got to confront it and deal with it with a positive attitude, an open mind, an open heart, and you've got to bring wisdom to the table of life.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, both of you have made, I mean, I love the energy vampire. I like that.
That's what I call them. Energy vampires.
I'm going to go back to my, like, you know, my technical thing, like the cancer. It's a cancer, right? Allowing these people, the white blood cells are taking over, and it's taking the oxygen away from you that is allowing you to breathe life into your circumstances, right? Or take out the air out of the bad situations that are temporary. And this is where I think people get it. When you get to that level of that negative energy, to your point, Mama C, when people are around you, and Jane, spicy, I'm going to call you spicy. I like saying spicy. Take that negative energy and those people that you speak to, and that's constant, and it's constant, the complaining and the negativity but they're not doing anything to solve for that.
Exactly.
Right? They're not really necessarily healing themselves. They're just deflecting it and throwing it on people where it sticks, right, to someone else. And it becomes then that infection that keeps going on and on and on.
Absolutely.
And to your point, that need to be around individuals who are like that all the time, you're part of that problem, right? You're
Yeah.
not healing for yourself either. You're allowing
Right.
that person to continue to infect you with their negative energy.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
it's important to both your points that these are people that you have to remove yourself from those energies, because you're
Absolutely.
never going to be happy, because they will bring you down. That's that doom and gloom all the
Yeah.
time, right?
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
They'll bring you down if you're not if you're allowing them to continue to throw that negative energy on you. And I'm not saying that you can't complain about things, right? You talk to your sister friend or your husband or your wife, and you've got things going on, and you want to, throw things at them and see what comes back, and you
Right.
need counseling or some insights or wisdom or whatever have you. But it's those individuals that continue to perpetuate the same narrative all the time.
All the time.
Don't allow for healing themselves and to improving their energy, right? That to
Right.
the better. So, I think it's important for people to understand that if you have individuals in your life that continue to be those energy vampires,
Yeah.
and we're not talking again about the people that, just are going through things and you need to help them through it. It's the one that continues and doesn't heal from it or doesn't want to heal from it.
I was going to say, doesn't want to. It becomes their identity. They don't know how. They get stuck somewhere.
That's
And-
it, stuck.
Yeah, they get stuck in it, and it becomes their breath. It becomes who they are. And I know for me, I will offer. This is maybe what you want to try. This is, but
Mhm.
I got to be honest. I don't spend a whole lot of time on them.
Oh,
I send them off
absolutely.
with love. I send them off with love. I pray for
Yep.
them, but I can't allow them to come into my space and take my energy from me.
And
I
soil
I
our
won't allow
divine
it.
sacred
I won't
space.
allow it.
Yeah.
Yeah, won't allow it. No.
Our space is divine and it's sacred.
Right.
We must protect it with
Mhm.
all that we have been given the power to protect it with.
Right.
But if we're not willing to see people for who they have become,
Mm.
sometimes one of the mistakes we make is we can see who God created someone to be, but that's not who they have become.
Mm.
And so what happens is we recognize their potential, and sometimes we jump on in and to try and play savior. But I always tell people salvation and transformation is God's job. Okay.
Mhm.
That's not our job. And if they're not
Right.
listening to God, the guidance of God, they're not going to listen to us. So we're wasting time and energy. And I
Right.
think time becomes a very precious commodity for us the older we get. I'm
Yes.
2 years
Yeah.
from 70. Okay.
Yeah.
And wow, I'm like, these years have crept up on me so fast. I never imagined I'd make it this far in life, considering some of the things I had to navigate my way through. But
Right.
determination, willpower, these are superpowers that we have to learn to use in our lives. Not allow the situations and the people in our lives to just capture us and hold us prisoner while they dump their dirt all over us.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then they try to make you feel bad
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
because you're not joining into their
Right.
dysfunction.
Absolutely. And Carmen Gill says we are vessels. We're vessels. Okay.
Yes.
We're vessels through which God works.
Right.
But if we won't keep our vessels clean, then what comes out as a result is more garbage than good. So we have to recognize that, and we have to protect ourselves, and we have to protect the space through which God works in us, with us, for us, and through us, not only for our own good, but for the greater good. But if we're allowing people to come into our lives with ulterior motives that are not designed for our well-being, as well as those, I like to say win-win. The relationships I form are win-wins.
Right.
Yes.
I want to be happy and healthy. I want you to be happy and healthy. How can I help you? You know, not how can I do it for you? How can I help you? What advice can I provide for you that you can use to make your life better? And that's what it's all about. We're here to help make each other's lives better by loving and supporting one another, inspiring each other, encouraging each other. But somehow this whole thing has flipped with respect to how people are functioning on this planet. But regardless of what people choose to do, when I used to go to my hairdresser to cut my hair, she used to say, we go into conversation, she said, if they like it, I love it. And I use it too. If they like it, I love it. If that's what they want to do, fine with me. Goodbye. I don't have to be a part of it.
Right.
You know, and I move on. And let me tell you, most people, you know, when I'm out and about, people see me, most times I'm by myself. Why? Because I'm good with myself.
That's correct. Yeah.
I'm good with myself. Okay. I don't need a posse. I don't need, you know, a group of people to validate me. And that's another thing. People are miserable and are walking around with these false smiles because they haven't found people to validate them. You don't need people to validate you. Validate yourself.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Validate yourself. You know, be good with yourself. I'm good with me. Whether I'm in my house, sometimes I don't come out of my house for a week. Whether I'm in my house or I'm out and about, I'm good with me.
Yeah.
So here's one of the things that I absolutely love about this time and age and this social media stuff. When I post something and people start commenting, sometimes negative, I get to delete the comment. Deleting the person without even calling my Uncle Leo and nothing. I don't have to do any of that. I just have to click delete them.
Delete.
That's
I have a list of people I have deleted and blocked on Facebook that, let me tell you, it would take me probably an hour to read all the names off, maybe two, you know, because I don't owe you no excuses. No. I don't owe you, I don't owe you anything. Right? If you come into my life with some negativity and I have not at all been responsible for your coming at me like that, goodbye.
Yep. And you know what? That's what I hope we convey this to the audience, because they have the control of who they bring into their life. You all of us have it. And you have the right to be happy. You have the right to smile, and you're going to have some down days, but other people do not have the right to put their crap on you.
Absolutely.
They do not have that right.
Absolutely.
Only if you allow them.
Yeah.
Only if you allow them.
Absolutely. Yeah. When you're feeling a little out of sorts, and I feel out of sorts sometimes. I was feeling a little out of sorts this morning.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, I'm not feeling quite myself. But what I did was, you know, I laid and I laid down for a little longer. I came down a couple of times and I went back to my bed a couple of times. And then I got up and I made myself a little breakfast. And then when it came, and then I positioned a spot for me to put my computer so we can do the show today. And you know, then I went and took a nice hot shower and got dressed. I feel wonderful. I feel great now.
Yeah.
The out of sorts, I was not accepting the out of sorts feeling. So I did something about it.
Right.
That's actually a good point you made, Mama C, because it starts with the beginning of your day.
Yes.
I actually wrote something, a blog that will be posted soon, and it's about really waking up. They say back in the day, you always used to say, making your bed up makes you feel accomplished. You start your day by making your bed up, brushing your teeth, taking your shower, doing your hair.
Right.
The little things that start your day feel accomplished with yourself.
Right.
Those are things that people have lost sight of.
Yeah.
You know, especially now, even in the COVID environment, think about it. You could just roll out of bed and get on a computer and, you know, Zoom and just make sure your hair's done, your face is done, what have you. But, you know, we've lost sight of the fact that those simple things do actually amount to something that make you feel accomplished or feel good about yourself, although there might be other things that are going on in your situation or your your aura, your job or family or whatever your environment is. Start with the simplest things that make you
Yes.
feel
Yeah.
somewhat
Yep.
accomplished. It's the
Absolutely.
simple things in life, and that is so important. So I love the fact that um, that was brought out because I agree. I mean, you look good, Mama C. I'm just saying. I don't you. I
Always.
can't tell.
Yes,
I can't
always.
tell. I
Thank
can't
Yep.
you.
tell.
Thank you. You know what? But I make it a point to look good
Yeah.
and feel good, because you know what? That's not anyone else's responsibility. That's
Oh
my
Right.
responsibility.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
And
Yep.
one of the pointers I got from the Smile and Depression piece I read said that a lot of people smile when they're depressed because they're afraid of the backlash. They're
yeah.
afraid of what people are going
Yeah.
to say. They're
Yep.
afraid of how people are going to treat them, both from a professional and a personal level. So,
Judging.
I think we've got to get rid of giving a damn about how people feel about
Yeah.
how we feel.
Right. How they
You know what I'm
perceive.
saying?
Yeah. Yep.
So,
Mhm.
Yeah.
it's very important that we stop caring about someone else's perception of us while we stomp on our own perception of ourselves.
Mhm. Mhm.
You know,
Right.
I created a mantra years ago when I first kind of started my spiritual enlightenment and growth and whatever. The only perception of me that matters is the perception I have of myself.
Right. That's
Mm-hmm.
right.
And that's something that has carried me and continues to carry me. And it doesn't matter what my age, it doesn't matter what my socioeconomic status is, it
Right.
doesn't matter. None of the external things matter.
Right.
It's all about what I feel inside of me. You
Mm-hmm.
know,
Right.
am I feeling good about me? That's
Yeah.
what I'm more concerned about than
Yeah.
if somebody else is feeling good about me. Because you
Right.
know what? Everybody's entitled to their perception, and their perception is based on their mindset, their state
Yes.
of mind. And
Yes.
so their state of mind could be so funky that their perception of you is equally funky.
Yes. You
Mm-hmm.
know what? I put on makeup every single day. Even when I know I'm going to be outside mowing the lawn. I put on makeup every day, and a friend of mine said, "Why do you do that?" I said, two reasons. First, you never know who's going to drop a package off at the door. Could be the new Mr. Right. Okay. First. Second, it makes me it makes me feel good. It
Okay.
makes me feel good. It starts my day off on a positive note, you know?
Absolutely.
That's a great point. I
Yeah.
find that a lot of people are very judgmental when, for instance, that there's this misconception that it's just we are trying to put, whatever, if we're dressing up nicely or putting makeup on or just going to a Walmart,
Yeah.
dressed up, and they're judging you. It's like putting that good china out. Put it out now. Who cares? Like,
Yes,
I mean,
exactly.
why are you waiting for company?
Yeah.
You want to feel good about yourself, right? And what makes you feel good about yourself, you have a right to dress the way you want that makes you feel good about yourself. And if you
Absolutely.
want to put makeup on or you don't want to put makeup on, who cares?
Right. Right.
Well, some people care, but that's
But
none of their business.
whatever works, whatever
It's
works.
none
Yeah.
of their business.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever works for you is what we should be concentrating on. What works for me? Do I
Right.
feel, does this support my good feelings about myself? If
Right.
it
Right.
doesn't, then
Right.
I scratch it. Goodbye. It has
Yep.
no place in my life if it's
Right.
not supporting and enhancing my happiness and my overall state of well-being. You know what I'm
Mm.
So how
saying?
do you think we got here? How do you think we got?
Wow.
It's been a forever thing of
Mhm.
what
Yeah.
we want people to think of us, or that we really do care what other people think of us. But I feel this time in our lifetime, it seems to be more focused. Is it because we are in a pandemic? Is it because We're less able to be social in gatherings. What is it that has brought this to be a real issue in our society?
You know, Jane, this
What?
is a snowball that's been rolling down the hill for a long time,
Yes.
and
Yes.
nobody stopped it.
It's just
Yeah.
gotten bigger and bigger.
It just got bigger and bigger. And the problem is, or the challenge is, that now people are talking about it. See, people, everything was swept under the rug or stuffed into the closets of life.
Mm.
Now, we as women, we're stepping up and saying, this no longer is acceptable in our lives. We will not accept this kind of behavior. We will not accept you coming into our lives and making our lives miserable. We will not live up to your perceptions and your standards according to what works for you. So I think this has been a snowball that's been coming down the mountain for a very long time,
But
longer
you know,
than you can even remember or care to think about.
and
I
I
say
also,
pop culture and I say social media.
yeah,
And I say those two things because I agree with Mama C. I think as we evolved as a society,
Mm-hmm,
so much more has been open and visible to the masses.
mm-hmm.
And, you know, those little chit chatters that were happening between neighbors has actually been multiplied by a whole network that's open out there to allow for judgment, open judgment, and perspectives and insights and perceptions. And these were always there. It's just that now it's more open to
Yeah,
a larger environment because this world now, anybody can see you and judge you from across the country and not even know you, you know?
yeah,
So I think that
absolutely.
has definitely, as we see, you know, even, television shows and music and just the industries
right,
has all
right.
changed, right? I mean, there's so much more that's open and visible to us. There's so much information that is feeding us
Yeah,
that our minds are getting wrapped around all these other perceptions, and it's lending judgment
Hmm.
that we probably would not have been that way previously, not to the masses that we are now, not to the
Yeah, it wouldn't be.
larger.
You know what, though? I have to say this. I find through this is a tough time for our
Yeah.
society, okay,
mm-hmm.
for the world. And I'm finding like when I'm in the store, if I see someone, that has a really nice blouse on or her hair looks, I'll say, "Oh my God, I love your hair." Or,
Mhm.
"Oh, geez, you look so nice in that blouse. You should wear that color more often," to a stranger. And I
Right.
find that, that ripple effect will matter. It will happen. And a friend said to me just recently, "You're trying to change the world and that's never going to happen." And I said, "No, I'm trying to change a little bit of my world."
Yeah,
And by being positive to someone else,
yeah,
it doesn't cost anything.
Right.
It's kind words. It's just showing someone that you notice them, that they're
right.
important. Living alone, and I used to work at a restaurant, and I would go out and say, "Hi, customers, good morning." Sometimes I was the only person that ever spoke to them at the beginning of that day.
Mm-hmm.
They woke up
Yeah.
alone. They got in their car alone. They came to the restaurant to have breakfast and a cup of coffee. But when I said good morning to them, I was normally the first and only person that recognized them as being alive.
Yeah,
Think about that.
yeah.
Think about that dynamic of just, not having anyone around to recognize that you're there, that you exist.
I think standing up and stepping out has made a big difference in the shift that's happening now.
Yeah.
We as women are not tolerating the craziness that our
That's correct.
mothers went
Yep.
through, our
Yep.
grandmothers went through, et cetera, et
Mhm.
cetera. And then to a certain degree, I really uh, thank our some of our younger population who
Yes.
started that.
Yes.
I mean, when I say
They brought us out of the dark.
I'm not tolerating this. This,
Nope.
you know,
Yep.
and so they help to build that foundation
Yes.
that we can all stand on and grow on together, united
Yeah.
as members of the human family. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Listen, my daughter-in-laws have taught me more about womanhood. I knew it, always had that burning in my heart, but they are not afraid to step out and
Yeah.
say, "No, I'm not tolerating that."
Absolutely.
And turning to me and every other woman and saying, "And you don't have to either." You
Absolutely.
know, in the 50s and 60s, you had to meet a certain criteria to be a housewife, a mother, a wife. That they broke the shell.
Yeah.
That your generation broke that shell and taught me to say, no, I'm not going to take that from you. No, I'm not going to do that.
Absolutely.
So I'm grateful for the younger women in my life that have taught me to it's okay to be outspoken. It's
Absolutely.
okay to say no.
To
It's
speak your
okay
mind.
to say I'm not comfortable with that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I
Absolutely.
appreciate that. And when you stop learning from anyone around you, younger, older, middle-aged, whatever, you die.
Yeah, it's true. And you know
You
what?
die.
I always tell people there's so much we can learn from young people. You know, I'm here with my grandchildren, and there's so much I learn from them. And sometimes they laugh at me because I'm like, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to do this. Help
Yes.
me, help me.
Yeah.
And I don't mind asking for help, because when it comes to this technology of
Right.
their times, let me tell you, they know their stuff.
Oh, yeah.
They know their stuff,
Yeah.
you know? And then there are things that I share with them, and they'll say, oh, grandma, grandma. I said, you know what? One of these days, you can understand what I'm saying, because I remember the seeds of wisdom were planted in the garden of my soul by my grandmother and
Yeah.
my aunts and other women from when I was a little kid. And
Right.
so I may
Right.
not have quite understood, and I may have she poo pooed them also silently.
Yeah.
You know, we nowadays the kids do it verbally. Back in those days, you didn't dare.
Oh,
You
God,
know?
no.
You
Oh,
didn't
my
dare.
God,
But
no.
in your mind, you're like, oh, please give me a break here, you
Yeah.
know, or
I've heard
whatever.
the story a million times. Oh,
Yeah,
my God.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
But you know what? One of the things I'd like to say to everyone who's joining us today, you know, if younger people would listen to their elders, to the older members of the population who are willing to share and willing to help them, they can bypass a lot of the craziness
Yeah.
that so many of us fell into, and
Yeah.
had to, and maybe in some cases spent years pulling ourselves out of the potholes of the craziness.
Right.
You know, I
Right.
wish, and maybe this is just life. We all have to do our own thing until we learn the lessons.
Learn from
Like,
it.
I don't know,
Yep.
maybe that's the way it goes. But you know what? There are just some lessons, I think, that we don't have to go through. We don't have to have somebody tell us, oh, that guy is no good, and he's gonna hurt you, or blah blah blah. I'll never, you know what? One lesson that always comes to my mind: when I was 12, I was fooling around with a guy who was 19, and my older sisters, who were like 6 and 8 years older than me, got wind of it, and they got on my case and blah blah blah. He's he's not a good guy, and blah 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 blah, and this is going to happen and that's going to happen. And I remember thinking to myself, well, just because that happened to you guys doesn't mean it has to happen to me. Well, I ended up getting raped by this guy. So had I listened to them, that may not have happened. I mean,
Right.
I had to have that experience, you
Right.
know. So,
Yeah.
you know, I think there are just some experiences we don't really need to go through if we would just listen
And
and
but you know what,
protect
Jeff?
ourselves.
Back in those days, you
Nobody
didn't
spoke.
talk about those
Right.
things.
Yeah,
Okay. You
absolutely.
didn't. I could remember a dear friend of mine who was raped, and I remember being her calling me, and I went to her house, and her mother said, "Don't tell anybody."
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't, because they'll think the way she dresses, and I'm thinking, oh my God, so he's going to go on to the next victim.
Yeah. That's exactly
Her
right.
mother was petrified that we were going to tell.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen anymore. That
Jen,
doesn't happen anymore.
and you're so right. Let me tell you something. That guy who raped me, when my daughter was 6 months old, I was looking at the Sunday newspaper, and there was his face and his name. He had killed a social worker on
Oh
the
my God.
rooftop of a building, and now was in prison, was sentenced to life in prison.
Wow.
You
And the
know what I'm
sad
saying?
thing is, who knows how many other people he victimized before that
Absolutely.
happened, right?
Before that.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And
Yep.
you know what? Demons often come in pretty packages.
Yes.
Needless to say, he was gorgeous
Mm-hmm.
and he seemed to have a decent personality. But at 12 years old, what do you know?
Right.
And I had no parents at home telling me, or guiding me and providing me, and who listens to their older siblings? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So it happened, but you know what? I decided I was not going to allow it to destroy my life.
Right. But
And it hasn't.
I see my own children and their wives teach their children about personal space,
Right,
about go to someone, tell someone. I love that they are opened enough to give their children the courage to know that they should be respected.
right,
Back
absolutely.
in my day, oh my God, if my mother and father were alive with that book I wrote, oh Jesus, Mary and Joseph, like they would be doing what Britney Spears is doing to her sister, not letting it get published. You know what I mean? Because you closed that door and you weren't allowed to tell anybody what went on in your house.
Wow.
Man,
No,
you ladies have actually brought
wow.
up an interesting, I think about this heading. I keep looking at this heading. A sad generation full of happy pictures. Are we fronting our way through life? And I feel like this has been always the case, right? Even
Yeah,
worse way back in the day because you weren't that open with your children or your
absolutely.
family or your friends about what's going on in your relationship or whatever
Absolutely.
have you. And I agree with you, Jane. Like, I remember I'm the oldest of four girls. So my mom, when she met my dad, she was 17. They got married a month before her 18th birthday. So she didn't have a lot of time to experience life
Right.
or
Yeah.
even relationships because who she met, she married. Um, and I never had that, person who would show me the way or teach me what's right or wrong other than listening to my dad, who I always said he was just, very hard and very, it's old Italian, I mean, military style, whatever have you. And I always said, whatever. I'm like, I'm fine. I'm good. And we didn't listen, at least I didn't, to my
Mhm.
parents because I always said, "You don't know what you're talking about, right?"
Yeah.
That to our parents, "We don't know what you're talking about." And I had to experience life for life,
Yeah.
on life's terms.
Yeah.
And it did take me through the road of some elements in my life that, I can't change now.
Right.
Happen the
Right.
way they
But
happen.
you learned from them.
But I learned exactly. I
Right.
learned from them, and that's
Yeah.
that's my whole point. Is that even those who didn't have back in the day the people around them that could help them, or teach them or speak to them in a way like that sisterly way, to say, hey, I love you, and it's not about this parenting style. It's about really just sitting and giving you advice and insights to what can happen.
Absolutely.
um, I think nowadays we actually have more of that available to us, which is actually a good thing, right? Because
Yeah.
back in the day,
Yeah.
we really didn't have that. I mean, I have aunts that are not even a couple years older than me. And I always thought of them as my sisters, and very close relationship. But again, the experiences that I had in life, none of them experienced it. So it
Right.
was hard for them to show me the way. And again, to your point, I mean, I came through where I am today versus where I was 20 years ago. A
Mhm.
huge, huge change, 20, 30 years. 30
Yeah.
years, because it was like, late teens. So I love the fact that even though we didn't have those people in our lives who could show the way or lend some insight, I love the fact that we have that today.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
absolutely. Yes.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And I tell people, look, I've made several stops in hell on earth. And, I'm so far from that now because I realize that hell on earth is a state of mind that graduates to a state of being, and then it evolves to an
Mhm.
absolute way of life. And
Yeah.
Mm,
so the same holds true for heaven on earth. I'm in a heaven on earth state of mind at this
mm,
Mhm.
point in my life, and
Right.
I'm loving it. But you know what? We've got to protect our state of mind in order for it to remain heavenly. If
mm,
not,
Exactly.
if
Yeah.
not, it doesn't take but a hot second to get tossed back into the bowels of hell on earth. Okay.
mm,
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so people have to realize that it really is all about our state of mind, our mental well-being, and often another point for the smile and depression was that people don't want to appear weak.
yeah,
They
Oh,
don't want
yeah.
to appear weak,
yeah,
fear and not wanting to appear weak is a fear-based concept, because you're afraid that if you appear weak, people are going to be able to take advantage of you, or they're going to think bad of you. It goes back to perception. Get rid of other people's perception of you.
Right.
We've
mm,
got to get rid of that because it really doesn't matter. What matters most is the perception we have of ourselves and the work we do to improve ourselves as well as the quality of our own lives. When we talked about hope earlier, you know what? And Jesse Jackson always said, "Keep hope alive." But you know what? Keeping hope alive takes work. Okay,
yeah,
you can't just say, "Oh, I'm gonna keep hope alive," and you do nothing, and
right,
life just continues to transform into something that looks like Frankenstein. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? So we've got to, with hope, we've got to step out of our box, get out of our comfort zone, try new things, embrace relationships with new people. You know what? I'm very much about diversity. You know what? Because we
Mhm.
are a diverse race of people,
Yes.
you know?
yeah,
Yes. Yep.
So if you don't want to associate with white people, or you don't want to associate with black people because your mind has been so soiled with hatred and craziness that you don't understand that that white person or that black person could be the answer to the prayer that you've been praying to God.
But
mm,
you know what, Deb? It's beyond now black and white. It's LGBTQ. It's
Oh, absolutely.
transgender. It's
Absolutely.
how people
Absolutely.
want to identify themselves.
Right.
They all bring something to the table. And if we
Absolutely.
close that off, we have stopped learning. Like I said
Absolutely.
before, we die.
Yeah.
So, to embrace them and to love them, you learn from them.
Absolutely. And you
And
learn.
back in our day, it was black and white because you didn't talk about gays. You
yeah,
just,
Oh
you
yeah,
just,
you didn't talk.
they
Yeah,
didn't
exactly.
exist. Yeah, they didn't exist. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
And
they
and,
didn't
and
exist.
and now again, love is our natural nature. When we're
Yes,
able to love each other regardless of the external factors, then
mm-hmm,
yeah,
we are living in alignment with God's will for our lives
yes,
and for the growth and evolution of the human family and all life in general on this planet.
right. And
mm,
it's interesting because a quote came up today on, I think it was on Facebook. I found it. It says, "Darkness cannot drive out darkness.
oh,
Only light can do that.
Right.
Martin Luther
Hate
King, yep,
cannot drive
100%.
out hate. Only love can do
Love can
that,"
do that.
yeah,
said by Martin Luther King.
yep,
Absolutely. And it's
Mhm.
absolutely true.
Yep,
If
it's
I can't love
absolutely
you
true.
up close and personal, I will continue to love you from a distance.
Yes,
That's
Yes.
it. You know,
Yep.
which means simply means I will not do anything to do harm to you. I will not do
Right.
any harm to you.
Right.
I'll let you go on about your life, and you could do harm to yourself, but I won't
Yes.
do it.
Right.
You know,
Exactly.
and people
Yeah.
don't realize that most times they're doing harm to themselves. It's not even
Yes.
other people.
Yeah. But then they try to blame other people for that.
Yeah. Oh,
You know,
absolutely.
and
Absolutely.
and that's why I said, if we don't keep an open mind to embrace everyone as they are, to true to themselves,
Absolutely.
we stop learning as a society. We become stagnant
Mhm.
and hateful.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
yeah, and
And
I'm telling you, I find the sistership platform has has awakened a lot of that in
yeah,
people.
in
It has,
people.
it's an awakening experience.
Absolutely, and it's continued to evolve because I began at North General Hospital in New York City by developing the first women's health program in Harlem. Uh, oh God, years. I think it was 94. You know, you lose track or whatever. But and then when I moved here, Sister Chat, and then we went on to the ladies' room, and now with the sister, we have continuously evolved.
Right.
And that's what life is all
Right.
about. We've
Right.
got to evolve, and then we have a body of women who are of like minds, and we're all surrendering to the fact that we're here to evolve and become our best selves, not just with ourselves and for ourselves, but with each other. And that's a
Exactly.
blessing. That's awesome.
Exactly.
That's just
Yep.
such an awesome blessing.
Yeah, it's about humanity.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
Humanity is,
Humanity.
we must focus on, we just have to. We
Yeah,
have to.
we really have to. And you
Yeah.
know what? For people who don't want to and will not, bye.
Yeah.
Exactly. Send
Bye.
them off with love and send them on their way. Yeah.
Absolutely. And getting left
Yeah.
behind is not God's plan for mankind,
Right.
for the human family.
Right.
Getting left behind is based on the choices we make.
Yes.
And
Yes.
Yes.
people don't get
Yes,
that.
it
You know, you
is.
have all of
Yeah.
these fictionalized get left behind movies that are a lot of crap. But the reality here is the concept of being left behind is based on our mentality. It's
Yeah.
based
And
on our
yep.
choices. It's not based on God's will for our lives.
And you know what tickles me? I am now seeing a lot of remakes of shows like back from the 60s and 70s. They're
Yeah.
remaking them. And I'm thinking, so there had to be something good in
There
that
was
time.
there
Yeah.
was always something good.
Yeah. That they want to bring back. There
Yeah.
Yeah.
had to be.
But you know
Nothing
what?
is sadder for me than to sit across the table from my 8-year-old granddaughter and have her tell me, we had a drill today, Gaga. And I said, well, what was the drill? Well, my teacher is the shepherd, we are the sheep, and the wolf is outside, meaning a shooting.
Oh wow.
Mhm.
I am telling you, I tear up every
Wow.
time she speaks to me about that.
Mm.
Wow.
Our children are now being taught this survival from a man or woman called the wolf.
Wow.
And they are shepherded by the teacher, and they are the sheep. And
Wow.
they're taught how to survive this horrific thing that could
Experience.
happen to them.
Right. Right.
It makes me sad, very sad that at her young age, this is, back in the day, we were taught to put our hand over our head in case a tornado's coming and get under our desk. Now it's different.
Now it's different. Exactly.
Mhm.
And you know,
Yeah.
there was a hostage situation at a
Yeah.
Synagogue. Yeah.
in Texas at
Yeah.
a one of the oh God, I'm drawing a blank. I'm having a senior moment here. Help me out,
Synagogue
ladies. At
in
a
Texas. Yeah.
synagogue, yeah, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm like, oh my God, you know, this country has really gone to the dogs to a certain degree. There is so and people walk. You never know when you go outside your door, when you go into the grocery store, or maybe those who go to the theater or whatever.
Mhm.
You never know when somebody's gonna turn up with a gun
Yes.
and start
Yep.
shooting. I remember Dave, I never had any thought like that on my
But
mind.
Deb, don't you remember? I know for me growing up, school was the safe place.
Oh,
Yeah, it was a sacred
absolutely,
place.
School
Yep.
absolutely.
was the safe
Yep.
place. But
Yeah,
I refuse to give up on humanity. I
yeah,
refuse
yeah,
to allow that hate to overtake the way I plan on going through my life, how I
absolutely,
want to, the message I want to leave behind when I'm gone. I
absolutely,
refuse to
absolutely.
let the hate take over.
Absolutely. And
Hmm.
you know what? When we're connected to our natural nature, love is impossible to allow that to
Hmm.
happen. It's
Right,
absolutely impossible
right.
because it is through love that God empowers us with the ability to do certain things, to see certain things, to hear
Yeah.
certain things, to know certain
Yes.
things, so
Yeah.
that we can become the shepherds for other people, so that we
Yeah.
can
And I
also,
see all that hope in my grandchildren's eyes. I
yeah,
see it in their eyes. And I will not give up on that.
oh,
Because when
absolutely.
I give up on that, I give up on them. And
Absolutely.
I can't do that.
Sometimes
Absolutely.
we got to be still and listen, right?
Yes.
Sometimes it's
Yep.
it's it's being still for a moment, allowing everything that's around you to not cloud anything, and just
Right.
allowing
Absolutely.
yourself to just listen to yourself. Close your eyes and listen to yourself,
Hmm.
and those messages will come to you.
Oh,
Right.
And
absolutely.
again, going back to what you said earlier, we're responsible for our own happiness. We're
Absolutely.
responsible. No one else is responsible. I mean, we may go through some serious dark times, right? Um, and I love this quote that I saw on a meme that I shared a couple days ago, and it says, "When you're in a dark place, you sometimes tend to think you've been buried. Perhaps you've been planted. Bloom,
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
bloom." And that's where I think people miss they stay into this, they have this mentality, right? It goes back to your mental state, your mindset of being in a dark place. But
Right.
sometimes we don't realize that sometimes it takes that dark place and watering
Hmm.
ourselves
Hmm.
to
Yeah.
be able to be blooming, right? Because we're
Right.
being planted,
Absolutely.
and we're being planted. The concept of planting, we're being planted to allow us to bloom and to
Right.
allow us to be watered and
Which
to
is new,
grow.
which is all new. Yes. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. And, you know, no one can do that for us. We have to do that for ourselves.
Yeah,
And sometimes that means removing ourselves from people.
yeah.
Hmm.
You know, I remember I went through a period of time where I had removed myself from everyone. It was almost, I felt like a monk who had joined a monastery. And, you know, I was just away from all the people who I'd always known or been around. And life began to transform in a way that was remarkable. And so
Mm.
I had to go with it and grow
Right.
with it and into it and through it. And let me tell you, I understand why people don't do the spiritual growth thing. Why? It's one of the toughest experiences you
Hard
will have
work.
in your life. It's
Sure.
hard work. And guess what?
Yep.
Once you reach that level of spiritual enlightenment, you can never go back. And so
Mhm.
you're constantly doing the work to become more enlightened and more enlightened and more
Mhm.
wise, and to gain the wisdom that will take you to phenomenal spaces and places in our lives. So it's just it's a great way to live. It's a natural way to live, but too many people are caught in living in through unnatural means.
Right. Well,
Those
they live for other people, what other people
yeah,
will think of them. They're
absolutely,
not true. And
absolutely.
you're right, Deb. Getting to that spiritual place, it makes you look at the good, the bad, and the ugly of yourself,
Yes, self. Yeah.
Absolutely.
and you're able to overcome it.
And
This
sometimes
is
you
who
really
I am. This is what I am, and
and sometimes you're really not gonna like what you see.
Oh no.
Sometimes you're really not going to like what you see.
Yeah.
But what you see is what you have to work on.
Yeah.
You know?
I remember not too long ago, someone said to me, sometimes you are a real bitch. And I said to them, you are right. You are absolutely right. And I own it. I know there are times I could just be unreasonable,
Yeah.
but I'm human. And yeah, I do admit it when I finally go, oh my God, yeah, that was a bitchy thing to do. That was to do it all. Yeah. Yeah.
That's why you're spicy. That's why we love spicy. We do have to acknowledge our own flaws, right? And I
Yeah.
think we do recognize when we're doing things or saying things that we were like, damn, I shouldn't have said that.
Oh yeah. And sometimes honestly, things just like drop out of my mouth and I'm like, oh,
Like, did I say that?
and then I will say, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Did I offend you? I know I offended you. I'm telling you now. Yeah, that wasn't nice. I shouldn't have."
I'm owning it.
We'll own it. We'll own it.
And it's true.
Yeah.
You know what? I tell people, I said, people sometimes say to me, oh, you're just so nice. You're just a sweetheart. I said, don't get it twisted. I'm not a saint. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you push my buttons the wrong way, you'll find out. Okay.
And Deb, it's interesting you say that. I've had people say you are so strong. And I said, tell them, screw that, man. I don't want to be strong. Listen, there are times in my life where I've fallen to my knees crying.
Yeah, me too.
For things that I can't change, the hurt my children may have experienced. Those are things you fall to your knees as a human and you say,
Absolutely.
I don't get it. And I don't get some things that happen to people.
Absolutely.
I just don't get it.
And there have been times I've cried so hard that I gave myself a headache.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you know what? You cry, you get it out, you pray and ask for God's guidance and strength.
Yes.
Because sometimes, let me tell you, without God's strength, it's almost impossible to stand strong.
Exactly.
When you fall, sometimes you just don't even want to get back up.
Right.
It's God's strength that helps us to get back up.
Right.
That God power within us. And people need to realize that God power is in us.
Right.
We were born with it.
I live alone and people will say to me, don't you get lonely? And I always say to them, I do get lonely, but I am never alone.
Exactly.
Never alone. Because I feel that spirit in me. I do. I feel it in me.
Oh, absolutely. Me too. And it's just beautiful. It just,
yes.
It's a breath of fresh air 24/7, 365. And you need to understand that, I don't look for God up in the sky. I ain't waiting for no pie to drop from the sky. I go inward to commune with and connect to God.
The strength.
Yeah.
To get the strength. Yeah. And I always say, God, give me whatever you feel my journey needs to be, but also give me the strength to get through it. I mean, there's imperfections in life.
Absolutely.
I'll say the energy, I have to say, and I know we have a couple minutes left, and I want to say this because I think it's important for the audience and also for me to express my gratitude for the sistership and for you, Mama C and Jane, Spicy. Because without just the things that I've seen, the blogs that I read, the modern day testament for Mama C now every Sunday. I don't know. Did you send one today? Because I didn't see it.
I don't know. I have to ask Tiffany because I know I sent her one. I don't know if she posted it or had time to post it or what.
Yeah.
But my whole point is I think it's important for people to understand that we all have things that we've gone through and experiences that we've had that, yes, we have moments of sadness and depression and we still smile through it because we know ourselves enough to know that we have people that we're surrounded by that are an energy and a force that help us that we gain wisdom and insights from, and we gain the strength from as well. But we also know we're responsible for our own strength and happiness by, 'cause without, yes, we can hear so much, but if we don't take what lessons or what words or what hits us and
Yeah,
put that into what we do on a day-to-day basis, we're never going to change that, right? We're going to continue in the
exactly.
same space.
Yeah.
So I have to thank the both of you, first of all, for today, because it was absolutely enlightening, and man, I felt the spirit and energy.
Good.
Um,
Good. We do
between
too, though. We
Yeah.
feel it from you.
We
We feel it from the audience. We
absolutely.
feel it. We
We
do.
feel
We
it.
really do.
And it's
Yep.
powerful. And this is
Yep.
what keeps us all going. It energizes us. When we
Mhm.
feed each other's souls, the soul nourishes the spirit and allows us to soar.
Right.
To soar to new heights of excellence in our lives.
Yeah,
Mhm. Yep.
it's refreshing. Let's put it that
It's
way. We
very
don't get
refreshing.
we
Yes.
don't get stuck in that
Yeah.
space, right? We
Yeah.
never get stuck in that space.
Yeah.
We're always about trying to show people the way, or just lend our experience and our expertise. I
Absolutely.
mean, you're not forced to take anything from this, but we hope that you listen and hear. And if it hits you, if it resonates with you, if it's something that you feel very strongly about, just take it and use it.
Mhm.
Because that's why we share it, and that's what the
Right.
sistership is about, is sharing
Absolutely.
those nuggets. And without the queenagers, the wisdom that they lend, we wouldn't be where we are today either.
Yeah,
Um,
and people, this whole sistership, people that have come in my life have truly left footprints on my heart. I'm
mm,
very serious
And
about it.
same here, Jane. I think we all love each other in a way that we can't even express to people.
No, I
Yeah.
agree.
We
I
just
agree.
they'd have to be be a part of it and
Mhm.
just be the love that they are and bring that to the table of
Right.
life. And that's
Right.
what we do. We bring love to the table of life, to the sistership table, and we nourish each other the best with the best that we have, and it
Right.
works. It works.
It does.
It
It does
works.
work because we
absolutely.
enter with an open heart.
Yes,
That's
we do.
why.
Yes,
We enter,
Open
ma'am.
heart,
all of us.
open mind.
Yeah.
We all respect each other's personalities and
Mhm.
how we manage through life, and we learn from one another every
Absolutely.
single day.
Absolutely.
But with that said, I know we're at the end of
Yeah, we
our
are.
show, and I could talk to you guys forever. I know this. Just we can keep going on this subject, but we are definitely going to be having you guys back on throughout the year, of course. I'm
Yay!
so happy to get the wisdom from our lovely queenagers. Thank you so much, Spicy.
Oh, thank
Thank
Jane.
you. Thank
Thank
you
you so
all.
much, Mama
Yeah.
C. I love y'all. I love y'all.
We
I
love
love
you
you.
too. Mwah.
This
Love
is
you
the
both.
Yeah.
Mwah.
Love all of you.
Network.
Yes.
Please don't forget to catch us every Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, all social media networks, YouTube, and on Thursdays afternoon at 4 p.m. on Genesis Radio, thesistership.com. Please make sure you watch us and continue to learn and listen and take what you need to take and leave the rest behind.
Right.
Absolutely.
With that said, I thank you all again.
Bye,
Love you all.
everybody.
Love my sisters.
We on a sister ship. Come with us, we on a sister ship. Yeah, we on a sister ship. Roll with us, we on a sister ship.
Sistership, we got this now. Come on, let's talk about it.
Let's talk about.
Sistership, we got this now. Come on, let's talk about it.
Let's talk about this. Talk about that. Talk about faith. Talk about facts. Let's talk about living. Talk about giving. Talk about family. Talk about